Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Lauren. I am the success coach for the account that you're using with kvCORE here at Inside Real Estate. I'll be taking you through today's kvCORE intermediate level agent training today. This will be recorded, so you will have access to listen to it again if you need to in the future. Just simply ask your kvCORE admins at your brokerage level, and they'll be able to provide it to you because I will be sending it to them after. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We can go ahead and get started. Can everyone hear me? If you are able to, can you just chat it out in the chat box? And that way I can confirm I don't have any audio issues. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Moving forward, please remember to keep yourselves on mute and to not accidentally share your screen. I know mine is loading right now, so it might take a few seconds for it to pop up. If you have any questions or comments throughout this training, please go ahead and put them into the chat box, and I will circle back to review them after I pause with each section. Let me make sure my screen is shared. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, so everyone should be able to see my screen right now. This is my test agent dashboard that I will be using to take you through today's training. So let's go ahead and get started. So everyone knows who I am. I'm the success coach here for the account that you're under. The account that you are able to log into is kvCORE. And if you were able to attend one of the live webinars, the earlier one, the beginner level, or listen to the recording, you would have had a nice foundation set, so you'll know where to navigate to get to certain sections of the account, or to perform certain actions, take advantage of certain tools, things like that. Today's training, we're going to expound on that. I'm going to go over the same type of sections, but focus on different aspects, give you tips and tricks on how to utilize it even more to further your business, and then point out some new tools that we didn't go over in the beginner training. Just to reiterate as well, based on the beginner training prior, we do have all of these training resources that are available to you after my trainings are over. So down here on the bottom left, you have the list of walk me videos that will walk you through doing certain functions or setting up different things in your profile. Up here on the top left, you have the top 10 training series, which I definitely recommend to watch after today's training if you haven't already. And then this help resources tab down here on the very bottom of your left-hand column of tabs. This is going to take you to our online knowledge base, to the kvCORE specific section. Just note that when you are utilizing the online knowledge base and those articles and videos that we have available for you, we also have help articles and videos for Conversion Plus, our legacy product, as well as a little bit of Inside Real Estate's very old and no longer used product. So make sure that you stick within the kvCORE specific section, which this help resources tab will take you directly to. And then, like always, if you have any questions that expound upon what you've already learned, or if there's an issue, perhaps there's a function that's not working properly or you're having trouble utilizing it, you always have down here in the bottom right the chat with an expert option that will take you to our kvCORE specific support team over here at IRE, and they'll be able to assist you, point you in the right direction to answer your question, or take your feedback and send it over to our product team. So you always have access to those avenues. Up here on the top right, if you click on your email, you will also have direct access to your website right here. You are able to utilize a personal domain name if you wish. Support will be able to help you out, which is why I mention it directly after the chat option, because if you do wish to take advantage of that, you'll want to chat in or email our support team via kvCORE at insiderealestate.com. And you'll be able to ask more questions about taking advantage of a personal domain name. There's a couple different options for you to choose from. Regardless of what domain name you're using, if you click on this link, it's going to take you to your kvCORE website that's automatically generated for you when an admin enters you into the system. So this is my test one. I want to point out up here on the top this line of tabs, kind of up on the top right, and I wanted to point out the cell tab. So this cell page is actually going to take the visitor to a home valuation or a property address evaluation tool. They would enter their address. If they're an apartment or a condo, you can enter in the unit number and then get estimate. Two things I like to point out about this page. One is that this image over here is static. It doesn't change. It's simply an example of what the CMA will download and look like. So if it doesn't match your area, don't worry. It's not supposed to necessarily. It's just an example to the visitor. And the second point I like to make about this tool is that it is simply a computer generated value. It is a tool that you have to use. So we're not trying to replace you as the industry expert and all of your knowledge after all of the years of being a real estate agent. This is simply to open the door of communication with any visitors or any leads that register on your website. That is what all of kvCORE's tools are set up and meant to do, just to open that door of opportunity and nurture it a little further. But you as the human with all of the expertise and knowledge will still have to come into play and pick up where our automation and our simple AI leaves off. So sometimes this tool is going to give an incorrect or inaccurate valuation because it is computer generated based off of public data. So the price that the computer spits out might be higher or lower than what is correct, or if it is correct, it could be higher or lower than what the visitor was thinking of or was expecting. So if they contact you regarding that price, that is where you want to step in and use that tool to open the door further and say, you're right, this is a computer generated value. So in order for me to give you an accurate run and to help you even further with your home selling process, let me do a walkthrough with my expertise and show you exactly the value that I can give you. So just a couple of things I like to point out about the Cell tab. This Agents tab up here at the top has this drop down of sub-pages. One of them is your agent profile, which I like to point out because even though it is very simple, it has your contact information, your agent image, and the ability for a visitor to send you a direct message. I do like to point this out because it directly correlates with your profile section in your kvCORE. So make sure that everything is filled out correctly, the phone number, the email address, that contact information, and your social media information is correct because it will pull onto the website that a visitor is viewing. Also, quick point about this, while we do display the cell phone number right underneath your name, the email address isn't displayed. It's actually linked to this email me term. So in order for anyone to email you, they can simply click here. They can click over here in the box to the right, or they can fill out this message form and send you a message, which is going to show up on your activity stream right here. So it'll allow you to answer from your dashboard. It'll show them the question or show you the question. And then if it's related to an address, it'll show the property. But in this case, it wouldn't be as tied to a property because it was just this page. This is a lead capture page as well. Notice that they have to enter in their email and if they wish their cell phone number. So if it's previously unregistered contact information, this will automatically add the contact to your Smart Serum as a new lead. So just a quick point about this. Underneath the agents dropdown, you also have the Our Listings page. I'm going to click on this really quick. And I have mine defaulted to show a map, so I'm going to change it to a grid. Now this is what it will auto default to on your website when you first are added to the system. In your profile, again, it ties back to this, and let me jump in here and show you. Your MLS ID field right here that you're able to edit in edit mode will replace or will determine what is on this page. So if your MLS ID field is not filled out in your profile like mine isn't, this is what the page will look like. It's our listings. It will pull in a list of all of the offices or brokerages listings under the office you are associated with. So if you don't fill out your profile with that number, the default will be the company's listings or that office's listings. Once you fill out your profile with that MLS ID code, it's going to replace this page, and instead of our listings, it's actually going to say my listings. It will pull in the number of listings you have on the MLS, and it will show it in a nice page right here. This page's URL is unique, so you are able to take it and market it out anywhere. We're going to create a nice, succinct page of all of your listings that you can then turn around and use that URL for marketing purposes. So if you ever wanted a public-facing, nice looking list that's easy to use of all of your specific properties, now you have it. If you fill out your agent MLS ID, automatically does it for you. This We're Hiring page is defaulted as well at first. You are able to go into your website settings and hide it if you wish. You are able to put your own text in there, although if your brokerage already has filled it out, you'll probably want to leave their information on it. But you're able to hide this recruiting page if you wish. And then you have your blog page. So this is going to show all of your blog posts that you have done. Mine is very informative right here as a test. But this is what it will look like. It will show the title, the content, and then any other previous blog posts you have will show up as tiles down here that they're able to read more about. This property search widget, you'll notice, will show up on pretty much every page other than a property results page or a listing details page. So the visitor will always have a way to continue their search and to register or favorite or request a showing on any properties at any time throughout the website. Because even though we do offer and have these available pages to add and to utilize, the main point of the website is to track your leads search history and activity and get them in communication with you for listing specific things. So there's a lot of different tools that you can utilize on your website and in kvCORE. So you can utilize all of them. You can utilize some in tandem, but of course you'll only want to focus on the ones that will make sure that your business moves forward in the way that you want it and need it to. So I like to point out those. In the dashboard tab, the first page that you land on when you log into your kvCORE account, I did want to just point out the calls and tasks tab. So I know I mentioned them a little bit in our beginners webinar. So you'll always want to come in here and see in today's summary the calls and tasks to do. The calls box, as you can see displayed here, only shows you things that you have to complete today, as well as tasks. If you have anything past due, it won't necessarily show up here. So you'll want to just pop in here and check real quick. And then if you have your Gmail account synced, you'll also have your calendar in here. And underneath My Business, while these analytics are static for right now, you will have access to any company added items. So if you are belonging to a brokerage that utilizes Google Drive, for instance, the admins can go into their account and add in the link or any other links that the agents need, and you can find them underneath the My Business tab in the company cloud box here. So you might want to pop in here every so often just to see if there's anything available to you. And then, of course, if there's a company announcement saying that the admins have entered anything into the company cloud, this is where you'll come in and find it. Dashboard, My Business, and company cloud, or video if they've added one. No, it's going to be whatever Facebook is. In the Smart CRM, we went over this at length And I'm sure from the beginners webinar that you may have attended or preview the recording, you've probably come in here many times. I do recommend logging into your kvCORE account at least once a day. So you're probably very familiar with the Smart Serum. I do want to point out a few extended and more in-depth actions that you can take within a leads record and in your Smart Serum. Firstly, under quick actions, you always have access to add a contact or add a note. Very simple tools to utilize, but they're great time savers if you just need to write a quick note or you just want to throw in someone's information and then get back to it later. So if you're on the road or at an open house, or you come across someone in the grocery store and they give you their contact information, you can throw it in your kvCORE account utilizing the mobile app that we have to download, and go back later and either add more information or add more notes, things like that. Underneath the Smart Serum, you also have a secondary contact, a manually add contact button, so you can use either one. But if you actually go into a leads record, there's a few more things you can do besides just previewing the information that you have obtained about them and call, text, add notes, things like that. One thing that I like to point out is this little shield icon up here on the top left next to their name. If you run lead validation, and I'll go back and show you where you can in a minute, but if you add a contact and don't run lead validation, this little shield icon up here is going to be gray. If lead validation has been run, it's going to be yellow. So we do try to color code it for you. If you click on this shield icon, you'll be able to run lead validation again, or for the first time if you didn't when you were adding them. And this is what a lead validation note will look like. So it will say validation run, it'll date and timestamp it, and then it will showcase all the information that we were able to get for you. If we weren't able to get any information on that lead with our contact info, then it will say validation run, and then it will say no information found. So that's what it actually looks like in the leads account. When you manually add someone or when you bulk import them, you're going to have the option to validate data or not. So down here, when you're manually adding them one by one, there's a toggle that you can turn on and off. When you import your leads, at the very end of the import, it's going to ask you if you wish to run lead validation. You don't have to click the button. So if you don't, then it won't be run. If you're sending in your import to be done by our lead configuration specialist team, the form that you have to fill out prior to sending us the file asks if you want us to run lead validation for you. So you can check yes or no. What lead validation is that we take the information, so name, email, phone, that you have either filled out in this form or provided us in the file that you wish to upload. And the system is going to take that info and run it against all publicly available data online and see if there's any extended information that we can get you. Like, for example, when we were in Tatiana's profile, it pulled in her location and her LinkedIn profile. We can confirm gender, location. If we see a different phone number or email address, we will auto-correct it within the lead's profile and show that new information in the lead validation note in their timeline. We're also going to verify that the name is correct. Perhaps a spelling error was made, so the name or the email might have been off by a character, have an additional one. So we'll go in and we'll confirm that everything is correct. We can pull in other social media profiles like Google+, Facebook, things like that. So we're going to try to get as much publicly available data as possible and pull it into the profile. I would never suggest to not run lead validation. So when you're adding a contact manually, I would always suggest to toggle this on and always tell us to run lead validation if you're sending in a bulk import. Lead validation is always run for any source that comes into kvCORE, so you only have the option to not validate the data during a bulk import or manually adding. Validation will always run on any other type of lead coming into your system, whether it's an outside source you've hooked up like Zillow, Realtor.com, Hotpads, Zapier link, anyone that registers off of your website or calls a smart number, things like that. Always going to run it. The only time I wouldn't recommend lead validation is if it's a close family member or friend, and even then I personally would still run it, because you don't know what is out there. You don't know what they've put out there, no matter how close you've gotten. And it's always interesting to see, one, what the system finds, and two, it might actually help you in nurturing that realtor lead relationship. So always run lead validation is my suggestion, but the option is up to you. Another thing that you're able to do, if you haven't noticed it just yet, is in this lead data table that we see right here in the SmartNet Serum, you can click on these little gray areas and sort by ascending or descending data. So anything with a date will go from highest to smallest or smallest to highest, and then anything with characters or letters will sort alphabetically ascending or descending. So you're able to sort your columns if you want to see all of the non-star rated leads first, or we can go up and see the highest rated stars and then descending for your leads. So you're able to control the columns that appear here, as well as control and sort the data that they display for you. The other item that I wanted to show within a leads record is this alerts tab up here. So along with all of the data that we can find and log for you, you also have access to the lead search criteria. So you can preview it, you can change it, and you can set it if it hasn't already been set. So I definitely would suggest to go through your leads and find out which ones don't have search alerts and set them, or try to make contact with the lead to confirm what they want. You can activate or inactivate the lead alert. And then after you click edit and put in all of this information, down here at the bottom, you have save and do not send and save and send. So you have these two different options. Once you put in all of this criteria, the system is automatically going to search for matching listings that are currently in the MLS. If you click save and do not send, the system will save the information, but it won't send all of the currently matching properties. Save and send saves the information to the profile and also sends out all of the currently matching listings. If you click, or regardless of which one you click, anytime something new in the future comes onto the MLS that matches the leads criteria, that will automatically get sent out at a frequency that you can choose. So it can be instant, daily, weekly, or you can turn it off. So if you wish to, you can save their criteria, but you can have it never get sent out if there's a circumstance that you need to use that in. You're also able to send it to multiple email addresses. So if they have a spouse or an older parent or a roommate that they're searching with, you're able to send a listing alert to more than one person. Now, let's go back to this page. So after you have saved it, it will, if you click save and send, it will automatically activate it. You can deactivate it anytime. If you click save and do not send, it will stay inactive, and you'll have to manually activate it. Regardless of which option you choose to save it, you're going to see all of the currently matching listings in this section. You are able to email or text the recent results. So if you click save and do not send, you are able to send the properties to the lead via email or text. You can also copy the link to the list of matching properties that is displayed on your website. We automatically set up a page that showcases all of the listings for that criteria for you. So you can grab this link, enter it into a different email or notice or any type of correspondence that you were planning on sending to the lead, and just take the link and send it. If the criteria that this particular lead is using to search for matches other general searches, and you see that this type of criteria or this list of criteria is popularly searched for the area that you focus on, you can also take that link and market it out and say, hey, here's all of the criteria that, or here's all the properties that match a certain criteria. It's kind of like an IDX squeeze link, but it's cheating a little because you already set it up for a lead. So you're doing two things with just one link. Let's see, don't have any questions about that, so we're going to move right along. I'm going to pop into the listings tab since we're speaking about properties. It's a nice little segue. So this is the list of properties that we can pull from your MLS, and you can do lots of things with each property, and within each listing details page you can do a lot of actions in mass, and you can do a lot more items on an individual property basis. But before I point out those, I do want to jump into this manual section right here. So the MLS button is going to show you all of the listings that we automatically pull based on our agreement and what we're allowed to pull through the IDX feed from your MLS or MLSs that might be enabled. This manual section is providing you the ability to add any listings that we might be unable to pull. So if you have any special pocket listings, or you can enter in your sold listings to show on this special page that is created, you can do so as well. Just be careful if you are adding a property that is not your own. It's probably not available to pull via an IDX feed or display online for a reason. So you want to make sure that you have the listing agent and or broker's permission before you add it to your website. But if it's yours, you know what you're allowed to do with that, so you can add it here if you are able to. You just click on this add listing button up here at the top. It's going to give you an address section. You fill it out, and we're actually going to try to fill out the rest of the information via Google Maps. So you put in the address, and if you click out of it or click tab on your keyboard, we're going to try to auto pull in the rest of the information. Once you've filled out the address, you have a property details list, so you can fill out all of the information, the search options that apply to this specific listing. The next section, you're able to upload any property photos that you might have. And then the last step is filling out the price, the listing date, and adding in any agent notes that you have for this listing. Just a quick note, this manual section for these properties does not make them included in your main list of properties on your website that we're pulling from the MLS. So these properties are not going to show up as results for any searches that a visitor does. These are specifically displayed on one individual page that appears as a drop-down item on your website. So someone who wants to find one of these properties, or if you want them available to people, you'll have to direct them to go to the specific page. They're not going to show up in a regular search results list. One reason for that is just the way the website was set up and the search function. Number two is also the fact that we're only allowed to display and use the properties that we're allowed to get from the MLS. So there's certain things that we can and cannot do with manually added listings, but it is there for you. Back in the main section, Just like with the Smart CRM, you are able to filter for specific properties. So you can use this filter button to enter in search criteria to find all of the matching listings that are available on the MLS. And they will also be available on your front end of your website too. So you can grab one or two properties or email or text the whole list to someone, regardless or depending on who you're searching for. If you jump into a specific listings details page, you'll see a lot of information, but I want to focus on this More Actions button over here towards the top right. You have a lot of different options that you can use with specific listings. One of them is generate QR code, which is great for marketing, especially on sign writers or flyers or any printed marketing materials. It's a great way to get interested potential leads to visit your website and to register. One great idea that I heard recently was to add it to a sign writer or one of the flyers that's attached to the sign writer in the front of a property, and make a call to action that invites a visitor to scan the QR code or go to a specific link or even text a text code to the smart number to see the listing pictures, because everyone is busy. We have a lot of different moving parts in our business, so we can't always be available, and the homeowner will probably almost never be available for when a visitor stops by looking at a property or drives down the street and happens to see the sign and stops and wants to take a look around. Not always available to actually give them a tour. So if they want to see the interior pictures, generating a QR code or using a text code to send them a link to the property details and pictures on your website is a great way to accommodate that or fix that issue. You can print out a flyer, so if you need to make flyers for your sign writer or for any other mailing purposes, open house, things like that, you can print flyers here, and if I do see so myself, they look very nice. Boosting the property is different from posting to Facebook. Boost property takes you to your Facebook account, but it's going to guide you through setting up a Facebook ad for this property. Posting to Facebook or any of these social media platforms is just a regular post. It takes you to the platform and your account. Make sure that you're logged into that system and to your account prior to clicking on this link. It's just a lot more seamless. But it's going to take you to Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or Craigslist and guide you through the posting process and do some of it for you, in fact. There's a lot of things you can do with a specific listing. If it's yours, if you are trying to clear out your inventory or have a luxury property that you want to spend more time and attention and focus on, definitely take advantage of the more actions in that list. In the Marketing Autopilot tab, we mentioned and focused on behavioral automation in the beginner webinar. The lead validation, this tile is going to go over more in depth of what I already mentioned about how validation is run. Search alerts does that as well for search alerts and goes more in depth on how you can use those, which both of those I've already mentioned. We're going to spend the majority of our time in smart campaigns. This is, in my opinion, our #1 lead nurturing tool. You can get as detailed and specific as you want or as general and generic as you need. You can set up 25 of them for different scenarios, or you can just use 6 that send communication to different statuses, and that's all. So really come in here after today's training if you haven't already and spend some time thinking about how you can use them, how you need to use them for your nurturing purposes, and to get in communication with your leads. So this is the campaign library. This is going to show you our defaults. So we have 21 defaults that are already set up fully that you can use, and just click Add to My Library, toggle on, and it runs automatically for you. Your library is going to show any of our defaults that you've added, as well as any that you've created yourself. Before we dive into this section, I'm going to start with the template section up here on the top towards the right. I break it down into 3 different parts because it's easier to digest that way. The first part is templates. Templates are the body or the meat of the SMART campaign. This is what's actually going to be sent out to the leads and touching them. And it's going to be what the leads are perceiving you as communicating with, and this will probably be the start of the relationship if you haven't already communicated with them prior. So you'll want to come in here and make sure that the templates are set up the way you need them. We break them down into 4 different sections: email, text, calls to make, and tasks to do. So you are able to give yourself reminders and action items. And then we have a huge list of templates that are already set up for you that you all you have to do is clone them over here on the right. And if you want to, you can edit them, and then you'll be able to utilize them with the SMART campaign. So email, text, calls, and tasks, they all have a long list of preset templates that you can use. To preview what each one says, you can just click on clone, and it's going to show you the text that will get sent out or the call or task to remind you to do something. If you want to use it, you will rename it. You are able to set your own subject line, and you can also edit any of the message text that you need to. Right here, you'll see these little snippets of coding. These are what we call merge tags. They actually all live in this little asterisk or star looking icon. If you want to add any of them, you can come in here, and they're actually broken down by type. So if you want to enter in listing information, you can do so. If you want to enter in lead or your own information, you can do so as well. This is automatically going to pull in and generate the information that is contained within those brackets. So down here at the bottom, it's automatically going to pull in your first name and last name from your profile. If I wanted to add anything, I could come in here and say I don't want just my name, I also want my cell phone, I want my email, and I want my website. So I can come in here and I can create my own signature. This is all going to pull in the information from my profile. If I click this include signature box, this is going to pull in the signature information from my profile in that specific signature box. So at the bottom of your profile in kvCORE, you have a signature box that you can use to customize your signature. It includes, or it can include fancy fonts, images, links, icons, any HTML that you might have used to set up your specific customized signature, anything like that. You don't have to fill it out, and honestly, if you don't have a special customized signature that you've been using for years and years, I would suggest to just leave it blank. The system has an automatically generated signature that pulls in for you, and like I just demonstrated, you can set up your own in each template if you wish. What I would not suggest is to put in all of these merge tags here as a signature and keep this box checked, because what it's going to do is pull in any information in the box in your profile and add it to the bottom of this email. So what you're going to do essentially is duplicate your signature, and it's going to look very messy. So make sure you only do one or the other. Uncheck the box for sure if you haven't filled out the signature box in your profile. And like I said, you don't have to, because the system automatically generates one for you. What you cannot do is use merge tags in your signature box in the agent profile. So just keep a note of that. Merge tags will only work in our campaign templates. So once you filled all this out, you would click Clone Template. And the way that you can distinguish between what you have created and edited versus ours is that this this test line right here, over here on the very right, it has edit and it has a delete option as well as clone. So all of yours will have an edit and delete option, so you can go back in and change it in the future. If you want to create something from scratch and don't use any of ours as a baseline, you can certainly do so. Just click Add Template up here on the top right and choose what type of template you want. So if it's a task, you can name it, you can put in a title, and then put in content to tell you what you need to do. Same thing with email, text, or call. You can create your own completely from scratch. Again, this can be as simple or as detailed as you need it to be. If you already have messages that you need to send out that you have already been sending out, perhaps manually or with something like MailChimp, I would suggest to utilize those with Smart Campaigns. If you've never done anything like this before, or you only have a generic idea, or perhaps sometimes your emails vary and change depending on what type of lead and where the process is with them, you can come in here and use our clone our templates and edit them if needed, maybe just a little bit or maybe a lot. So again, there's a lot of things you can do with templates. Once you have the body of the campaign, you would go back into the campaign library section and you would set up the framework. So templates are the body. It's what actually gets sent out. The campaign section is the framework. So you've told the system what you want to send out. Now you have to tell it who you want it sent to. So over here with Add Campaign, you would click this if you haven't utilized any of our pre-setup. And you would choose when the campaign needs to start. So we have a few defaults: when it's new, when it's transferred, or when the lead is moved to a specific hashtag. So if you want a Smart Campaign auto-applied as soon as you apply the sold hashtag, you can do that. That can be the trigger. We have advanced triggers down here. So if you need to set up your own, let's say I want kvCORE to assign this specific campaign when I move the status to closed. So let's say that I have a specific list of messages, or like check-in emails, or just congratulations on buying or selling messages that I want sent out. I'm either going to set up the campaign to auto-apply off of a hashtag or off of a status in my example. You can also choose to not have a start trigger. So let's say that I focus on sellers and 3 out of every 10 sellers are special. I just have a different way of working them, or they have special circumstances, whatever the case. There's 30% of the sellers that I usually work with have special needs that are not going to match a Smart Campaign that I've already set up for sellers. What I can do is set up a Smart Campaign for just those special 3 sellers and choose to not add a start trigger, because for whatever reason it's not able to be easily set in the system to like recognize them when they come in. So there's little tiny headaches. So I'm going to choose to set up a Smart Campaign to nurture those 3, because I still need to create a relationship with them. But I'm not going to create the Smart Campaign with a start trigger, which means every time I get those special case sellers, I will have to go in and manually add the campaign myself. So you can do that. I'm going to keep this status as closed trigger, because that's what I want this campaign to be set on. You can choose your different seller types. You would need to name the campaign and then add in the description. Notice that both of these fields are required. Most of our feedback from when we first launched this tool was, this is great, but I've set up 15 campaigns and I have no idea why I set up 3 of these. So use the description as a reminder to yourself of who they're going out to, why you made this, like what's the point, things like that, so you can keep track of your actual efforts within kvCORE. You're able to share the campaign with your fellow agents underneath your account. You can set to always run, and you can lock it. Don't need to really worry about locking it unless you share it. If you lock it, then it means that anyone who wishes to use it won't be able to edit it in any way. If you don't lock it and it's shared, then the agents in your account that wish to use it and clone it will be able to change the templates or the Smart Campaign criteria at their level. Doesn't change for you, doesn't change for anyone else. It will just be able to be edited on their level. So you can have complete control, or you can lock it, either one you wish. And then the last step would be reviewing and adding the information. Once you save it, it's going to show up in your library list down here. You'll be able to see at a glance the criteria you've set up. We're actually going to be able to track the performance of it, and you're able to use the toggles on the very right to turn it on or off. So right now you've set up the messages and you've set up the framework, but you still need to link them together. So you're going to click into the Smart Campaign that you've just created, the framework, and the campaign actions over here at first in this table is going to be completely blank because we haven't associated anything yet. So what you need to do is come over to Add Action and choose the email, call, text, or task that you want to be associated with the Smart Campaign. So now the system is going to say, okay, Lauren wants this message sent out at this time to this type of lead, because the Smart Campaign has the framework, right? It's how the messages get assigned to that lead. So you need to choose the messages that you want assigned. And then when you come in here, and for example, an email, you would name the email. You can match it to the template name if you wish, or you can set it up as like the step. So a lot of them, so if you do post email 1, you could say after showing 1. And then the next action could be after showing -2. And it could be like 3 days later, follow up with a post showing or post call email. So you can name it whatever you need to. You're actually able to preview the template that you've chosen. So if you need to remember what this actually says or confirm that this is the correct template, you can enable this and see what it's going to send out. You can set up who it's going to look like it's coming from. So is it going to come from you or the lender to the lead? Is it the system perhaps to you or the lender? So if this was a call or a task to do, it would be the system to the agent, so that the kvCORE account would send it to you as a reminder. You could choose to run it immediately, so within 24 hours of this Smart Campaign being assigned to the lead, I want this to go out. Or, alternatively, I can set up a specific minute, hour, or day. So within, within 4 hours of this campaign being applied, I want this email to go out. So again, as specific or as generic as you need it to be. You can just continue on down the list, and each action you add is going to show up in this right-hand table. It's going to give you an overview of when it's going to get sent out, what type of message it is, and when or where is it coming from, and who is it going to. So it's the agent to contact, lender to contact, system to agent, system to lender. You're always able to edit each action or remove one completely. So let's say I don't want this day 100 to go out anymore. I can completely remove it. And now this campaign ends at day 70. What I suggest, always, regardless of what type of campaign or lead or any circumstances, is set the last template, or the last action to be a campaign is complete template. So whether that's an email to yourself, a task to do to yourself, however you want to be reminded, set up an action to tell you when a leads campaign is over. This is important, especially if they're not in the client closed or client contract closed status. If they are sphere, prospect, new, or active lead, this is going to give you time to go in and either communicate with them more yourself personally or set them up on a new campaign or restart the campaign that they just finished. You don't want to set yourself up for failure and not remind yourself when a campaign is ending and then just have that lead kind of float off into oblivion and never get contacted again. Once you've done all of that, you'll notice that there are 2 additional actions here, add a tag and status. So what this does is gives you the ability to use a smart campaign to automatically add a hashtag. You can set up a date and a time, or you can run immediately, and you'll select from your added hashtags. I typed in this one because you'll notice that it doesn't match anything I've already added. I cannot use this pop-up box to add a hashtag. So I'm only going to be able to use hashtags that were already added previously. This can work with the other campaign hashtag tool or function. So I set up this smart campaign to auto apply off of a status change. What I don't want to do is then come into actions and say, okay, I have this campaign applied when I change it to closed. I don't want to then have the campaign change it to a different status. So you'd want to use one or the other. Either have the campaign auto-applied when you change a status, or have the campaign change it automatically for you and have it trigger off of something else. The hashtags you can use together. So let's say that you add a hashtag to a lead, and that is a trigger for a smart campaign. You can have the smart campaign come in and then say, okay, I need the second hashtag added. You can do it that way, but with statuses, I would not use those. I would not use the trigger and the action together. I would use one or the other. I know this can be overwhelming. It's a lot to take in, and like I keep saying, it can be very detailed or very generic. The good thing about this, and the reason why I spend most of the intermediate webinar on it, is not only because this is our #1 nurturing tool, it's that this is going to be the best time saver that you use in kvCORE. Yes, setting everything up will take time. You might spend an hour or 2 or a day setting up everything, making sure your messages are correct, especially if you're starting from scratch and you've never really used drip campaigns before. That being said, you never have to come back in here and spend that time all over again, because this is a one and done. You enter in your templates and information and set up the trigger and the criteria and then walk away. And you don't have to worry about your leads being nurtured, because you'll know automatically that they are based on the criteria that you've set. So the only reason you would have to come back in here and spend any more time on it is if you want to change something, turn something on or off, or set up something brand new for a new circumstance that has presented itself to you and your business. So really use this tool, because this is the best way to work smarter, not harder. Spend that initial investment of time, and it's going to increase tenfold for you. We don't have any questions about this section, so I'm going to jump into the lead engine to spend the last couple of minutes on. So in lead engine, in the beginner training, we focused on landing pages and squeeze pages. We also have this CMA builder tile tool. So if you click into here, it's going to give you the option to enter in an address and associate it with a specific lead, and it's actually going to generate a CMA for you that you can download, print out, or send to a lead or a group of leads. So you can create CMAs here. Again, this is a computer-generated value, so this is definitely not replacing you. It's if you have if you're currently using a CMA tool that you love, or your MLS provides one that is extremely accurate, by all means keep using that. But if you don't have access to one, or you don't like the one that you're currently using, check out ours and see how you like it. We also have this Millions Mapped app. This tile is going to explain a little more about it. It's just another way for your leads to search for properties. Honestly, I would recommend it's its own app that they actually have to download, and you have to give them your agent code, which support can assist you in finding, and to be able to associate your lead to yourself. Honestly, I would just tell them to go to your website. It's mobile compatible. They can just go in and type it in. You can text them a link to click on very easily. But if you want to say that you have an app that they can use, then you can send them to Millions Mapped. And the Open House app right here is great. I really love it. If you host a lot of open houses, or you help other realtors, or use open houses in any way, shape, or form, definitely you're going to want to download this app on your tablet or mobile device that you're using and use it as your sign-in sheet at the open house instead of paper and pen. It's very nice looking. You can associate it with a specific listing, and it's going to not only allow the visitors to enter in their name, email, and phone number, but it's also going to ask them pertinent questions like, are you currently working with a realtor? How did you find out about this open house? Things like that. It's not very extensive. We're not quizzing them. It's only just a couple of questions, but it's going to give you a lot more information to help you help them even more. It also is going to automatically sync with your smart CRM. So those leads are going to be auto added to your kvCORE account. If you are offline for whatever reason, it does contain that information within the app structure because it's its own thing. It's its app. So it's going to keep all of that contact info in there. And then when you are back online, you can force sync it to your kvCORE account, and all of that information will directly go into your smart CRM. The other really nifty feature about our Open House app is that it will automatically tag anyone who registers with the listing ID. So you will always know what property they registered during the open house, because we're automatically going to add that hashtag to them. So it's very, very useful, and I definitely recommend to use it any and every time you have an open house function. The last tile I'm going to focus on before wrapping up today's webinar is this bulk import tile. So I mentioned a couple of times during the Smart CRM overview that you are able to import a file of leads. So if you don't want to add 50 leads manually one by one, you don't have to. You can put them into an Excel file. It's the only format that we take, so you will have to put them into Excel file. We don't accept PDF, Word, or Numbers. I know Numbers is an offshoot or an imitation of Microsoft Excel for Mac users. Unfortunately, we don't take that format, so you will have to use Excel. Workaround if you don't have Microsoft Office or you are a Mac user is to use Google Sheets. So if you use a Gmail account with kvCORE, you already are set up with it. Use Google Sheets. It's Google's version of Microsoft Excel, and it's very, very similar. And you just plug in the information. You can actually, underneath the file section, you can save as a CSV file, which is a type of Excel. So save as CSV from Google Sheets. Once you have your file of information, you have two options to get it into the system. You can do it yourself over here on the right. If you're handy with Excel, if you know how to map data or figure yourself to be fairly techie savvy, then by all means do it yourself. If you want to have full control over your data, if you want to see exactly how the tool works, go in here and play around with it. It's totally fine. If you don't have time, you don't want to deal with it, or you just simply want us to do it for you, you can get help from a lead configuration specialist in this tile to the left. We do see the average processing time is 3 days, but where it stands right now, we have a really quick turnaround time of same day or the next business day. The only time we might push that 3 business day turn time is if we have to follow up to confirm questions or any other items that we want to make sure prior to importing so that all of the information goes in cleanly. This is a free feature, so you don't have to pay extra for us to do it. It comes along with your support resources and your general kvCORE account. It is a separate team, so they're not really associated with our kvCORE technical support team. They literally only do kvCORE imports. So if you do take advantage of scheduling a call up here, you will only be able to ask them about import related things. What happens to the data, what options do I have, things like that. It's not a way to have someone train you for 30 minutes on how to do it yourself. So if you want to do it yourself and you have a couple of questions, they are able to answer those one-offs, but we will not be able to walk you through it every single step of the way and do like a screen share or things like that. And they won't be able to answer any other support-related questions such as how do I use a landing page or what's wrong with my smart CRM. Those will be questions you have to contact regular support via email or chat. But if you have import related questions, you can schedule a call here. If you click this Get Started form or button, it's going to give you a form with a couple of questions to fill out so that we know exactly how you want your data entered. But once you fill out those questions, you attach a file and it directly sends it over to us and we'll get started for you. We're going to let you know as soon as it is completed. And if you have any questions, you can just respond back to that email or again, you can schedule a call. Doesn't look like I have any questions so far. Sometimes I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because that could mean that either I'm the greatest teacher ever and you got it very cleanly or you're just so overwhelmed that you don't know where to start. There are a lot of moving parts to kvCORE. I'll just say this as a wrap up. Even if you have gotten your solid foundation, you've utilized all of our training resources, you might have already talked to support a couple of times, you've attended or listened to the beginner training, there's still a lot to learn. There is a learning curve. Stick with it is my best advice. It does get easier. It's a lot of our tools are set up to work for you. So just set them up and let them run, and then you can focus on other aspects of your business that a person just simply has to do, and tech just can't do it for you, like paperwork or meet and greets, things like that. So I hope today's training was helpful for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and end it now. You will have access to the recorded version after it processes and I send it over to the admins today. And if you have any questions, I'm going to leave this chat open for a couple more minutes so you can chat in the chat box.
Lauren?
Yes?
We put some questions into the chat box.
Did you? Because I'm not seeing them. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Let's see. Can you start a trigger? Can you set a trigger for start of a hashtag? I have an address after that. So
That makes sense. What I'm trying to say, like if I wanted to, so I do Facebook advertisement for multiple different properties. And so could I start a trigger that has any lead from Facebook? So if the hashtag is hashtag Facebook and then the property address, would I be able to start the trigger for anything that has that first part, the hashtag Facebook?
Yes, as long as that hashtag has already been added to your smart CRM. So if it's already in there, you can set up a smart campaign and use that trigger of hashtag is and then put in that hashtag of Facebook and then the address.
So, but how is there a way that I could have the same hashtag for all the Facebook leads and then still have a hashtag that has the property address so I know they're separated and I can see which ones are coming in from which property?
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yes. Yeah, you can set it up that way.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
And then edit the questions. Right now, you're not able to edit the questions that the Open a House app offers. I know that that was requested at least once in the past, and our engineers do have it on like a product to-do list to review and to see if we're able to update the app. So not right now, but probably in the future.
Can you tell me what questions are required that they fill out in that app?
None of them are required except for the name, email, and phone number.
Oh, but name, email, and phone number are all required.
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can toggle the requirement for phone number on or off if you wish, but they definitely have to have a name and an email. If they don't want to answer the questions, they don't have to.
Wonderful. And can you change that in a squeeze page as well when you are advertising squeeze pages to make sure that the phone number is required per agent, or is that something that the broker only has control of still?
In the website settings section, an agent does have access to mandate phone number or not, and that would apply to website and any squeeze links that they make because the squeeze links lead back to the website. So agents are able to do that on an individual level.
Wonderful. Thank you.
No problem. And then your last question, can we download the leads we import? Yes. In the Smart CRM, under More Actions, there is an Export Leads option. So you're able to export all the leads. Just note that you can't specify like specific types of leads. It's going to export your whole CRM, but that will include the imported leads as well. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it open for the next couple of minutes. If your question's already answered and you have other appointments, feel free to hop off. But it was great meeting everyone, and thank you so much for attending. I will send over to your admins the recording as soon as it processes today. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye.